Hello, hello. Welcome back for another segment of Me, Myself, and Liberty. And today I have two guests on the show. It's the first time I've done this, and I'm so excited. I have two very special ladies that are running here in the state, one running for Senate, one running for the House. And so we're going to have Valerie Walker, who's running for House District 87, and we're going to have Miriam Daly, who's running for Senate, I believe, District 40. And so these are very special ladies, and so stay tuned. I cannot wait for you to see the interview that I have for you today with these ladies. We'll be right back.
Greatness shows up after you're tired. Let's say it one more time, man. Greatness shows up after you're tired, not when you're tired. And breakthroughs don't happen until you reach your breaking point. Been there many times, man, at that place I didn't want to go on, and I realized that strength can't develop until your strength is gone. You got to keep pushing, because character and courage is developed or lost when you decide to keep going or to give up. You see, that's the point. You got to stop, and you got to realize that's your breakthrough coming right there, because when others that are around you won't, you will be the one that goes ahead. Somebody has to step up and go a little bit farther. Is that somebody you? How many says that's me? I want to go a little farther.
Welcome to Me, Myself, and Liberty. And I have the beautiful Valerie Walker here with me today. I'm so happy to be here with her. And Valerie is running for House District 87. And so just for my viewers, just in case they do live in your district, we need to get them more familiar with you, because you need to go vote for her. And I love her. She's amazing, and I am excited that you're going to get to know her today. So give us a little bit of a background story about you. Where did you come from, and just a little background on you.
Well, I was born in the thriving metropolis of Watauga. I grew up on the south side of Oklahoma City, graduated from Grant High School,
Okay.
Went to OBU, and finally finished at Southern Nazarene University. Have my bachelor's degree in organizational leadership, which is business administration.
Which is great for exactly what you're doing right now. Okay.
And I'm retired. I spent 9 years at the Oklahoma City Police Department.
Awesome.
911 dispatcher for 2 years, and then in the crime information unit for 6. And substituted. I was a substitute teacher at Putman City Public Schools.
Oh my gosh, so you just have your hands in everything.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you're just very well-rounded, and it's important to have somebody that is well-rounded and has a lot of, life history when you're thinking about who you're going to vote for. How did you get involved in politics? What made you decide, okay, now I'm going to take this on?
Well, Subrina, I was sitting at home thinking, oh, this needs to be different. This needs to be different. So I started going to precinct meetings and the convention, and wanted to make a difference. I spent many years volunteering in my neighborhood to the homeless. I started that when I was 15, but I wanted to be more involved on a different level, and so I started going.
Take it deeper, yeah.
Yeah.
Public service, it sounds like, is your heart, because
Yes.
you worked with the police department, you worked with the students, you worked, like you said, in the community. So public service is your heart.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah. And so I really get that just by meeting you and talking with you in general, but I wanted you to, explain to them how you kind of came to that decision, because it really was quite natural, it sounds like.
Yes.
Just how you are. Well, why did you choose to run for this seat in particularly?
I felt that in House District 87, the populace as a whole wasn't represented. And I wanted a more fair and balanced representation.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest, I didn't really appreciate the current, or yes, the representative who believes that killing the preborn neighbors are okay. You know, it's okay. Go ahead. It's okay. And I don't believe that.
Because life begins at conception.
Absolutely it does.
It actually begins before that, but
Yes.
so the word tells us, but in the natural, it begins at conception.
Absolutely. And there's no need to, I mean, it'd be really easy, you know, don't worry about the heartbeat bill, just abolish it, just get rid of it.
That's right. Let's just understand that all lives are precious, no matter who you are. Let's just understand that they all matter. And why do we have to make this a women's issue? And, you know, it's just this narrative, this generation that we're living in, where one day we wake up and, you know, there's boys in women's bathrooms, you know, and then the next day we wake up and it's my body, my choice. And then the next day you wake up, you know, it's just like, it's back and forth, and it's just whatever fits the narrative for the day, however they can push, you know, their agenda. Why can't we just use common sense and just say, you know, yes, all lives matter, and women's rights matter, men's rights matter, children and each individual's lives matter, you know? It's just insane. It
truly is. And like I said, there's so much time, I don't want to say wasted, but there's been a lot of rhetoric given to, you know, well, it's okay, it's just a blob of cells, until excuse me, it's really not. It's just,
well, those cells are actually important, or they wouldn't want to use them, you know, for, you know, all different things that they extract them for, you know, cell stuff in in their shots and all of that. Why do they not matter at 1 minute, and then they do when it again pushes their agenda? It's nonsense.
And I want to know why, if a pregnant woman is shot and killed, there's, you know, charges
Double
for
homicide.
Yeah. So
yeah, they do understand. They understand very well. It's just games.
Yes.
It's games that they play in order to get their agenda across, pad their pockets.
There you go.
And do their backdoor deals, and it's all about money.
It is.
It's all about money.
Because if abortion was abolished, the pharmaceuticals wouldn't have their guinea pigs and their stem cells, and so that was a driving force. But really, all people, and I do believe that the preborn need to be, their voice, their right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness is as valid as mine.
Yeah.
And my constituents. And
exactly.
my district is very diverse, and I just feel like the entirety of it needs to be representative.
Right. Well, that's good. That's awesome. We're going to have to take a short break.
Okay.
But when we come back, we'll finish up. Well, not finish up, but we'll continue the conversation with Valerie. We'll be back in just a minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different result. How many times have we seen these tax increase bills rolled out to us over the past year that we've been in session? Well, here's a plan, we'll do this one. Here's a plan, we'll do this one. Here's a plan, we'll do this one. Having complete disregard for the citizens. Not one time have I heard anyone say, well, what do the citizens think about this? Which is a fact, because we saw this bill 1 hour before it even rolled out here. I didn't have time to read it, didn't have time to put the debate together, didn't have time to send it even on Facebook in today's modern technology and say, hey, what do you guys think about it? I represent you. What do you think? None. No representation. It's taxation without representation. We're losing our minds up here.
Hello and welcome back to Me, Myself, and Liberty. And I'm still here with my amazing guest, Valerie, who is running for House District 87. And we've just been kind of touching on her background and learning a little bit more about her personally, and how she's been separated from her opponent with her pro-life beliefs. And so what I kind of like to ask next is how do you feel about the current state of our state in general?
In general, I still believe it's a great state. I think we're one of the greatest states, greatest state in the union. Numbers and data, I still believe our people are, they're good stock, if you will.
Yeah.
We were farmers. We grew up on the farm in western Oklahoma, produced cattle, cotton, picked cotton, crops. So I think
We're the heart of America.
yes, and we understand that hard work means get your hands dirty, get your feet dirty, plow in, get in, and do what needs to be done.
And there's so much gratification from that.
Yes.
I mean, I just know, like, I planted a garden this year, and I have watched my potatoes start to come up, and I'm like a freak. I'm serious. I talk to them
Love
like
it.
I talk to them like they're children. I call them my green babies. I know I'm weird, but I will
I
go
love
out there
it.
and say hi, green babies, and but I watch videos on, when it's time to harvest the potatoes, and I am so intrigued. I cannot wait to dig those potatoes up. There's going to be so much gratification in that. But truly, there is a lot that Oklahoma offers just to the entire country. But we are the heart of America, in my opinion. I have lived in so many other states, and but I'm originally, from here. But I always come back here. I always wind up here just because the people are different. The people are so genuine and caring. And I've gone to other countries or other states, and they'll tell me, they'll ask me, where are you from? You have an accent. And I'll tell them Oklahoma, and they're like, people are so nice there.
Yes.
You're right, they are.
Well, and we learned in community. If the crops needed to be harvested and a farmer passed, wasn't even a question. Got your John Deere, you went over and you helped the family out.
Yeah, you understand community and neighborhood. Your neighbors pitch in and you help each other out. And I have amazing neighbors. Amazing. I don't know what I would do without them. But yeah, you're right. That's true. That is a good point to bring up about our people here.
Yes, and it's just, we're agricultural, we're gas and oil, and gas and oil has sustained the nation. We do have the ability in the U.S. to be, and we have been, energy independent, but Oklahoma itself is also the heart of the nation where that industry is concerned.
Right. And we were, a year and a half ago, we were energy independent under Trump. We know it can happen. We had stockpiled, up all of our oil, and now, the current administration's selling that off, and it absolutely makes no sense to me. But we could sustain ourselves very well with the right governor and the right leadership in our House and our Senate here in Oklahoma. We could sustain ourselves very well, just with our crops and our farmland and our oil and gas and all of that. We really could be independent here in Oklahoma, and a lot of America depends on us for those things.
Absolutely.
And so we have to keep that up and going. It's important that we get people like yourself in there that understand that in our Oklahoma House of Representatives to represent the true people, the farmers, the oil and gas industry, all of those things, so that we keep it that way.
Yes.
We keep it to where we keep this flow coming, and we are able to sell that off and have a great economic growth here in Oklahoma. And so, yes, we need people like you that understand that in the House.
And it's a natural to me. It's like there's not even a thought about it.
Right.
And the family farm has just been sold off and just disregarded.
Yeah, like so many other things, like our children, and even here in Oklahoma, we're having a lot of problems with the critical race theory and the social emotional learning being pushed, and it is here in our schools.
Yes.
So, what are your thoughts and feelings on that? How do you plan to do anything to tackle that here in the state?
Absolutely. I believe parental freedom is a must. I can't even fathom being taught to hate a particular race, and that's what critical race theory is, because I was taught all race, there's no prejudice, and what you learn, you live, and if you live back to basic is my slogan.
And I love that.
Yeah.
Because it's true. I mean, it's very, just go back to the basics. They worked for generations.
There you go.
Why did we get away from that? Well, in my opinion, I tell you why we got away from it. Because we have a Marxist agenda being pushed here and across our country. And what they want to do is capture the minds of our children, because they understand very full and well that if you can capture the minds of the children, you can capture generations to come. And it changes the fabric of our society and our country. And so they've pushed all of this, the critical race theory, like you said, it is prejudice. But under the precedence that it is against prejudice.
Yes.
So it's a false narrative.
Very much so.
It's a very much false narrative that they're pushing, but our children are, they're in their youth, they're very immature and they don't understand. So they're tricked very easily. And it really is going to take parents standing up, going to the school boards, being the voice for their children. It's going to take people here in our state house and senate that are willing to be the voice of the parents in government and listen to the parents.
Absolutely.
Actually listen to them. And they're the ones who put you into office. So, they can easily take you out.
That's right.
Your time is going to be up at some point. And so if you don't vote correctly, they can easily remove you from that seat.
And I want to stop it. Why change it? Just stop it.
Oh, definitely.
And being a substitute teacher for 17 years, I began to see the children. It confuses them. And I just saw that they don't have to stand and salute the flag or a moment of silence. That's very basic. Have respect for where you live, who you are. It's okay to be an American and be proud of it, because I am.
Oh, absolutely.
And I'm absolutely Oklahoma first, because salt of the earth. Basic, back to basic. And it just eludes so many people. Shut the screens down, go outside, plant a flower, go help your neighbor mow, anything.
Right. Well, unfortunately, we're going to take another break. I hate to cut you off right there, because this is such an important thing, talking about our children. They are the future, and we can pick back up on that here in just a minute. But in the meantime, during our break, please don't forget to go like us on all of our outlets. You can find us on YouTube, Rumble, Instagram, patreon.com/OTU Media, and we'll be right back with Miss Valerie Walker.
Growing up, my dad once sat me down and said, "Jackson, there's going to come a time when you have to fight for the things that you love." America has changed a lot since then. Today, just like you, I'm shocked at what I see. Open borders, censorship, mandates, lockdowns, and those in office only pour gasoline on the fire. They're dividing us by race, gender, religion, and class, as they've managed to turn the American dream into a nightmare. Our faith, family, and our freedoms are on the line. If we want to protect them for our children, then we must have the courage to fight for them now. Oklahomans share a legacy of courage. We have always overcome the odds because we're willing to fight for the things we love. Yet with America in crisis, some Republican leaders have failed us. Under pressure, they break their word and they betray our trust and values. The truth is, you don't negotiate with evil, you fight it. My name is Jackson Lawmeyer. I'm a fourth-generation Oklahoman, a husband and a father of 5, a businessman and a pastor, as well as a conservative fighter running for the United States Senate. It's time for every Oklahoman to stand up and protect what we love, protect our great American heritage, to put America first, to have free and fair elections. This is not just a campaign, but it's a movement to help save America, and together we will. My name is Jackson Lawmeyer, and I pledge to be a courageous fighter in the U.S. Senate for Oklahoma values. Please join me.
The Ten Commandments has as much historical significance as it does religious significance in the founding of our nation. It has just as much significance as the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, and the Magna Carta. There shouldn't be any specific legal challenges to it. They'll probably try to come after it by saying, well, it's simply religious, you're trying to push your religion off on us. I'm not doing that at all. It has historical significance, just like the other documents, and it should be taught in our schools, and it should be displayed with those other prevalent founding documents that we have in the founding of our nation. There will be no cost to the state because the Attorney General's office, their job is to defend state laws. And if it becomes state law, it's their job to defend it. I just added that into the wording of that bill just to make sure that it is defended and it doesn't come back on a school or any other public entity if they do get sued. The state Attorney General will take that fight up for us. And he already has lawyers on staff that are paid to do that. And it was voiced in committee today, will the atheist or be able to put devils or horses or anything up as a monument or a plaque anywhere? And the answer to that was no, you can't, because it has no historical significance. It's tied to the founding of this nation, whereas the Ten Commandments and those other historical artifacts do.
Hello and welcome back to Me, Myself, and Liberty, and I'm still here with my special guest that I am very excited to be interviewing today, Valerie Walker, and we're learning so much about her and the things that she plans to tackle when she does get into office for House District 87. But I kind of like to dig a little deeper. Like in our last segment, we were talking about the children, which are, really everything revolves around the children.
Yes.
They are the future, and everything kind of goes back to them, and it has to be about them. But what are some other things that are close to your heart that you plan to tackle once you get into office?
Well, Subrina, it's important that the children do have health, good health.
Mm-hmm.
I remember in junior high, I would see on the cafeteria walls, "You are what you eat."
Mm-hmm.
Well, so if that's true, just a few
Which it
years
is.
ago when I was in junior high, that, if you are what you eat, wouldn't it make sense that you are what you're injected with? We don't need poison put in our children.
Mm-hmm.
Parents need their freedom to choose if they're going to vaccinate or not vaccinate.
Mm-hmm.
Am I going to help the immune system, the natural immunity that my child has?
Mm-hmm.
They need oxygen. They don't need to have masks on their face.
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
I mean,
Well, and it just is so obvious that in every aspect of our government right now, it's an overreach to the sense that they want to keep grabbing at all of our freedoms. And one of the biggest and most dearest things to obvious to most people is that let's just take the children. We'll control the children, and then we'll make the parents follow along.
Exactly.
And so that's what they're doing. And so it really upsets me because yes, there are parents out there, and if they think that it's okay to vaccinate their children, that's perfectly fine. They should have the right to do that, and no one should frown upon that. But if they don't want to vaccinate their children, no one should frown upon that either.
that's right.
We government thinks that we belong to them, and in fact, the Constitution tells us the opposite.
Yes.
That they belong to us. They are there to ensure what we say goes, and they think that they're there to tell us what to do.
Right.
And so it's really gotten radical, out of control. It's tyrannical, and it's just been kind of dripped on us for a while, but like speeded up over the last couple of years. It's just gotten to be like they're not even hiding it anymore. It's so obvious and in our face. You turn on the news and like they're just telling us, hey, this is I think I saw a clip recently where one of the a news anchor said, she was reading something off and she says, and they said this or whatever. She goes, and by the way, it's our job to tell them what to do, not the opposite. Talking about the American people. And I was like, there you go, prime example of exactly how they perceive us. Just be my little robot, do what I say to do, and we're going to tell you what to do with your bodies. We're going to tell you what to do with your children. We're going to tell you, what jobs you can and can't have, what you're going to be, all the things. And so we are at a critical point here, I think, in society. And we need to do something fast. And so we need to get people like yourself and all the others that I've had on this show in office. And vote. I'm not saying vote red, because we have a red problem in this state. Okay, we're all 77 counties voted red. It's not a secret. So the Republicans are running our government here in Oklahoma. And so any of the issues that we have with how things have been ran are their fault. And so I think really what's happened is it's possible that the left has impeded our elections in the sense that because we're such a hardcore conservative state,
right,
maybe it's possible that people are running on the opposite ticket just because they know they're never going to get in as a Democrat here, because we see blue and red, and so they'll just go on the red side, run on that ticket, and but then they vote like a Democrat because they are in fact a Democrat.
Exactly.
And tell you all the things that you want to hear just to get elected, and so this is, I think, a problem that, where we get the word or the concept of RINO, Republican in name only.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we get that, is because there's people running on the opposite ticket in order to get in office. And that's something that we need people like yourself in there with discernment, so that
Absolutely.
you know who you can actually trust when you get in there, and who you can work with in order to enact real change. Somebody who is like yourself, who's genuine. So I want you to kind of just tell the audience as a whole about you and about your message. What is it that when you're out there, and you're pounding the pavements and you're knocking doors and all of that, I know you're working really hard, what is the main takeaway that you want them to take from this interview and run with it in order to make a decision to vote for you?
I am a freedom fighter. I am not shy about the way I feel, never have been, never will be.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not afraid to confront a lie with the truth.
Mm-hmm.
I actually do believe that all the people need to be represented. We all have less government is better government.
Mm-hmm.
The
That's
overreach
right.
is out of control. It's not a conspiracy theory anymore, Subrina.
It's not.
Our United States, Oklahoma, we're in a war.
Yes. Yeah. We are.
And
We're in a war for our minds. We're in a war for our spirits and our culture. This is a spiritual war.
yes,
I say it all the time, manifesting in the natural.
Yes. And the Second Amendment right is near and dear. We had sidearms on the farm. Rifles, shotgun. If you didn't, on one of our farms, if you didn't shoot any game, you didn't eat.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So it's not a matter of, I just want to be a gun-toting,
No.
brazen, broad, if you will, but I am.
Mm-hmm.
And I make no qualms about it.
Mm-hmm.
I think we can lovingly see the help that our state needs,
Mm-hmm.
and encourage people. It's okay to love America, Oklahoma, the Constitution, and believe in the rights that we do have, our unalienable rights.
You're right. And, I was back to the whole, having the gun on your side and everything. I was talking to someone recently. We were talking about how when we were in high school, myself and the other person, everybody carried guns. Like the whole park, I grew up in a little rural town, okay? So we were country and all that anyway. But every single male, every single one of them drove trucks. Every single one of them had a gun rack in the back of their truck, sitting in the parking lot of the high school, guns racked up in the back of their truck. And there was nothing wrong with it back then, and it's just the narrative that's being pushed and here's the thing, law-abiding citizens, they're the ones that suffer actually by gun legislation, because the cartels, which are completely, have control over our borders, and all of the cons and the crooks and all of that, they're going to find ways to get guns, and they're not going to do it legally. Okay, they're not going to do it legally, and they're not going to have gun confiscation either. This is nonsense to think that you can confiscate guns from, that'll just be the law-abiding ones that you have on record that have guns, not the ones who you have to actually worry about. So, anyways, we're going to take a break. I get long-winded, I know, but don't forget to go and like us on all of our outlets on YouTube, Rumble, Instagram, and patreon.com/OTU Media. We'll be right back with Valerie Walker.
Greatness shows up after you're tired. Let's say it one more time, man. Greatness shows up after you're tired, not when you're tired. And breakthroughs don't happen until you reach your breaking point. Been there many times, man, at that place I didn't want to go on, and I realized that strength can't develop until your strength is gone. You got to keep pushing, because character and courage is developed or lost when you decide to keep going or to give up. You see, that's the point. You got to stop, and you got to realize that's your breakthrough coming right there, because when others that are around you won't, you will be the one that goes ahead. Somebody has to step up and go a little bit farther. Is that somebody you? How many says that's me? I want to go a little farther.
Hello and welcome back to Me, Myself, and Liberty. And we're here with Valerie Walker still. And in our last segment, when we left off, we were talking about how funny it was where, I was telling the story about how we had gun racks in the back of our trucks like when we were in high school, and no one said a thing. We didn't have mass shootings, school shootings and stuff like they try to tell us we have now, and we didn't have those problems then. And I assure you it's because people knew better. They knew not to mess with you if you were armed. But of course, they will never talk about that.
Ever.
Yeah. And so you were, and on break, you were telling me an awesome, funny story. Tell me about that. Tell them about that.
Well, when I was, like I said, a few years ago, when I was in junior high, a classmate of mine, he's a hunter, and his birthday was coming up. So I thought, what do you give a guy that's in 7th grade? Oh, a box of shotgun shells. There you go.
And that was perfectly acceptable back then. And I bet you he thought that, he probably really liked you after that.
Yes,
Okay, now we're going steady.
Yes.
Now we're...
That was like how a girl dropped a guy, the drops with your initials. It's like, okay, I dropped you. And he put it in his locker, and it was no big deal. Word got around, and the teacher, asked about it, and he goes, oh, it's a birthday present. I'm going hunting next weekend. It's my birthday. Oh, okay.
No
Done.
big deal?
No big deal.
No, and I guarantee you he didn't go and shoot somebody up with them shotguns.
Absolutely. Well, a deer.
Well, a person. He didn't go and shoot a school up or anything like that.
Yeah, wasn't mad at the teacher for looking in the locker to, okay, rifle's not in there. Okay, get to class, it's getting late,
Yeah, right. Just, oh, goodness.
And now, if you carry even an empty box or a knife. It's like, call in the National Guard and, fundamental rights. I mean, when I say freedom fighter, I mean freedom fighter.
Well, I feel you. I'm the same way. It's like, that's what we need. We need fighters. People who are going to get in there and regardless, not change their core values.
That's right.
Not change on issues that they are close to their heart, and just fight for the American people who are depending on you and who put you in office.
That's right.
It's not that hard. It's not rocket science.
It's not. It's very basic.
But we just have a lot of people who are, on the surface they look like one thing and underneath they're someone completely different. And so that's why I'm just like, you got to have so much discernment in today's society to really know who you're dealing with, because you can get in trouble. But hey, I want to talk to you about that SB 159 bill about, how they were trying to give driver's license to illegals. I'm not sure if that passed or not, but what are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts on that, Sabrina, is why? I mean, we know that that's the undergird of the radical left to get illegal voters, illegal people in to swing their agenda, to make sure that is planted, the seeds of deception, the seeds of, let's destroy America. No, it should.
Right.
And
they're probably even coaching them, and I'm
exactly.
I'm heavily presuming this. Okay, I'm not saying this is truth, but if we're bringing illegals in, we're not sending them back, and we're escorting them across the country with no chain of custody, by the way, which is one of my main things once I get to the U.S. Congress, I'm going to tackle is chain of custody. Where are they going? Shut the borders down until we know where they are.
Yes.
There's so much human trafficking happening. We got to protect the children. It's disgraceful. Disgraceful. No wonder why there's people across the world and the globe who have a problem with America, because we'll seemingly do anything for votes and seemingly do anything for money.
Oh, and we'll even steal elections. I mean, you need to see the movie 2000 Mules.
Oh, I did. I had a get together at my house, and we had popcorn, and we watched it. Yes, we did.
We all knew what happened. I mean,
and that only addressed one issue. Think about it. That only addressed the drop boxes, and Trump would have won just with that alone. And that's not even discussing Dominion and all that, which it's already been proven with Dominion he would have won. This was probably the largest lie perpetrated on America ever in history. And it is one of my core things that I plan to tackle whenever I get to the U.S. Congress again, is we have got to have accountability.
Absolutely.
Again, it seems like, anything goes anymore in America.
Right.
Anybody can break laws and rules, and forget the Constitution. That's just a piece of paper. We can do whatever we want to do. We got to have accountability, and we are going to have to enact articles of impeachment on Joe Biden for his crimes against this country. This proves that there was unequivocally voter fraud that took place.
And yet, some of the leaders, I'll say, in the state, our voting system is the most secure, and it didn't happen here. Okay.
Yeah, because they're hoping that
we'll believe the lies.
Yeah,
continue the lies.
They're hoping, and very successful at it. I might say. With the mainstream media, and being able to flip the narrative and control the minds of the masses, and make the people just go right on along with their narrative, despite complete evidence to the opposite.
Yes.
And so it is a huge issue, and we have got to, and the whole situation with this, like giving licenses to illegals, that has to just, what is the agenda here that you have to think about? Why would we do that? Why would we give them health care? Why would we put them up in housing when we have veterans on the streets? They're not getting free health care. They're not. And it's really disgraceful that we would do this
Pathetic.
to our country. And so clearly the narrative that's being pushed is not America first.
Absolutely
It's
not.
clearly not, and we saw that with that, did you hear about that? They just voted yesterday to give $40 billion more dollars to Ukraine. 40 more billion after they gave them 800 billion already, with a B. It only takes $6 billion to secure our border and finish the border wall. They didn't wrap that up in there, did they? They didn't do anything for America. And any of these bills that they are pushing through, it all has to do with Ukraine, and it all has to do with securing the borders of other countries.
What about charity begins at home?
Right. 100%.
What about common sense?
Right. Well, we need to take a break real quick, and so we'll be back in just a minute with Valerie.
Oklahomans' rights are being violated. Personal liberties are being removed by force and by passivity. Americans are being bullied, intimidated, and manipulated. Oklahoma needs a strong leader who will stand up to federal overreach. We must stop unconstitutional mandates and elimination of informed consent. As a naturopathic doctor, I've personally treated over 9,000 COVID-19 patients with 0 deaths. That does not include the thousands upon thousands whom I've assisted with their overall health. As your next governor, I will defend Oklahomans' rights. I will not be bought with federal funds, corporate entities, or any other monies that have strings attached. I will not surrender your freedoms, nor will I bow down to petty tyrants, their scare tactics, or their threats. So stand with me and vote Mark Sherwood for governor.
And I'm certain that these same people that voted for Biden the first time, they would never do that ever again, or anybody like him.
He had a 40-year track record of really not doing very much. It's surprising that so many people did vote for him, even though we know that there may be some controversy around the actual election results. What do you think as far as Donald Trump? I mean, obviously, he's given these amazing speeches. We're going to see him at the rally on the ground with the Save America bus tour with Real America's Voice on Saturday in Florence, South Carolina. His speech will probably be a lot like the speech that he gave at CPAC, where he's really alluded to the fact that he's running. Just real quick, with about a minute left, I'd love to get your take on Donald Trump and what's facing him in 2024.
So I love Donald Trump. I actually endorsed him as a state legislator when he ran the first time and caught all kinds of grief over that. I endorsed him in the primary, but he was the right guy for this time, and he's still the right guy. There's no one else out there that I can think of that has the backbone, the intelligence, or the ability to get us back where we need to be. Donald Trump is that guy, and I'm hoping and praying that he says, you know what, I'm running again, because the people need a champion. They are upset. They know what's going on. They want to get behind a champion, and that champion right now is Donald Trump. So I hope he does run. I will support him 100%.
Hello, welcome back to Me, Myself, and Liberty. I'm Subrina Banks, your host, and I'm here with Valerie Walker. She's running for District 87. And Valerie, I want to talk about something that, oh my goodness, is this ever an issue here in the state and across the country? And that is this land, 300,000 acres here in just the state of Oklahoma alone, that has been purchased by Chinese or other nationalists. That, when we say nationalists, that means that they do not have any type of citizenship, but they're able to purchase our land up. And so, how do we know that there's no oversight to that.
Right.
And how do we know that that's actually what they're doing is purchasing it for, well, what they're saying they're purchasing it for is marijuana growth.
Right.
But there's no oversight on it, so we really don't know. It could be drug trafficking or human trafficking. Who knows? What do you plan to do about that?
Well, keeping with America First, Oklahoma First, create an oversight committee, even though I'm less government, but this is our soil.
Mm-hmm.
This is literally the sweat of my brow, my family's brow,
Mm-hmm.
that we must protect
Mm-hmm.
and maintain, because if they decry, oh, food shortage,
Mm-hmm.
well, if our farmlands and our land are sold up
Mm-hmm. Right.
to people, we don't know
And
that
they're not even Americans. I mean, so we've got
Exactly.
to deal with that. I mean,
it's
wouldn't you
America
agree?
First. I
Wouldn't you agree?
absolutely
We've got to
agree.
make sure that we have some sort of legislation that, attacks that issue and says, hey, you're not going to get to buy American, especially Oklahoma land unless you are a citizen.
That's right.
Mhm.
And it's only fair. It's back to basics. It's common sense.
Yeah, it's fair. We're not allowed to go over to other countries and just cross their borders with, and
When my uncles were
Like what
fighting
they're
for
able to
the
do.
freedom for this country, when they were in France, if you didn't speak French, you weren't dealt with.
Mhm.
They had a national language. It was French,
Mhm.
and if you wanted to deal with them, you spoke French.
Mhm.
So, that's an issue too.
Yeah, well, like we cannot, as Americans, even enter Canada or Mexico, which we have open borders and let them in, but we can't even go into their country with that because they have regulations, right? So we
Right.
can't just go over there and do whatever we want like they can here and be let in. But so there's nothing wrong, and we have to stop pretending like there's something wrong with securing our borders. There's nothing
Absolutely.
wrong with holding people accountable and saying if you're going to come to America, you need to be a citizen, and if you want to buy American soil, you need to be an American.
That's right.
We don't know what their agenda is. We're not able just to go buy up all the land in their country.
At all. And that's the deal. Do you see mass exodus from Oklahoma, from the USA, to get to Ukraine, unless you're Joe Biden hiding stuff, and let's, get rid of the labs and what have you over there.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see people leaving the USA, and certainly not Oklahoma,
Mm-hmm.
to get to another country.
No, and we want to keep it that way.
Absolutely.
We want to keep it that way, and I can tell you there's a lot of my immigrant friends, and I have a lot of them, because I do
Yes.
appreciate culture, but there are a lot of them who come to me and they're like, Subrina, I'm very concerned. Myself and my family, we came to this country because we wanted to escape tyranny,
Yes.
and we're seeing all these warning signs right here in what we thought, not only just America, but what we thought was the most free and the most fair state in the union. That's why we're here in Oklahoma. We love the people. We love how, we have so many rights here. And even then we can see the warning signs of tyranny and the warning signs of socialism and communism. And we have got to do something about that. We've got to pull the reins back.
Absolutely.
We really do, and our children are depending on it. They don't even know that they need us to do it.
That's
but
right.
We should be educated and smart enough to know that it is our job to protect our children and secure the futures for our children.
Not only in health and the vaccination, the choice of that, the school choice, the parental freedom, it's our duty to educate them on what a great country we are, and absolutely get tough and stop, not just curtail, not just regulate, stop it.
Stop
There's
the
no
madness. And I want to tell all of you something. Yes, you need to vote, and yes, you need to get the right people in there. But it is absolutely the right and the duty of each and every American to stand up for their country and for their children and their rights and their freedoms. Don't expect to just elect somebody and then go on and live your life. As Americans, we have become way too complacent because we're spoiled to absolute death, and we just go, oh, well, we elected them to do that. Everything's going to find a way to work itself out.
Mm-hmm.
And the radical Marxists who are trying to take over our country and our world are depending on you to think like that.
That's right.
And it is time that we stop it. We get our act together and we do something about it as citizens, and we hold our government accountable as our
That's right.
Constitution wants us to do and was designed to do. We have got to get real.
Absolutely. This is no time. What was it, Mae West or one of the Hollywood actresses? Life ain't for no sissies, you know.
It's so true. It's so true. I have a senior, and he's graduating this month, and I think he's not saying, but as a mom, I know his body language, and I know my child, and he's every high schooler, they can't wait till that day that they are done. They're just done with high school and they can move on, and they get to be a grown up, you know, until it comes. And then most of us are like, okay, wait, you know, and I feel like that's where he's at right now. He's like, okay, now I've got to go be a grown up.
Oh, what's a check?
This came really fast, you know. And he's not saying anything to me, but he said stuff to his sister, and so she's kind of told me, you know, I think Karen's a little bit freaked out that he's an adult, and he's, you know, and I'm like, well, all you can do is just prepare him the best you can, and send him out into the world and ensure that they understand that they are the ones that should be holding government accountable, and not government telling them what to do.
Oh, yes.
Not anyone should be telling them what to do. That if we are going to be a republic, you know, then we need to act like it, and we need to make sure that we ensure that the people who are trying to take over our country and take those freedoms and rights away from us, they're not allowed to be in office anymore.
That's right.
And we have to have free and fair elections for that. And so I'm so glad that you brought up 2,000 Mules. If you haven't seen it, I'm going to try and find a way to drop a link or something where you can get it for free. A lot of people are not wanting to pay for it, which I think, you know, you go to the movies and watch just the biggest nonsense, okay? And this is something that everybody should know about. If you can pay for a movie to watch Superman or Spider-Man, why wouldn't you want to know about your elections being stolen? You know, why wouldn't you want to know that? But I will ensure that you get a free link so that you can watch that. It is important that you become an informed voter.
That's right.
And Valerie, I just want to thank you so much for being on the show.
Well, thank you, Subrina.
I have really enjoyed having you, and I think that it is very clear that who you should vote for in House District 87.
That's right.
If you have any other questions or concerns, where can they go to find out more about you? Real quick, tell them like maybe your website.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for participating in the voting process. ElectValerieWalker.com. It's elect VALERIE Walker.com. Find me on Facebook, Valerie Walker for HD87, and
there you go. All right, sounds good. Well, thank you again, and thank all of you for being on the show today and watching us. And you go and like us on all of our outlets on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, Patreon.com/OTU Media, and we'll be back.
Greatness shows up after you're tired. Let's say it one more time, man. Greatness shows up after you're tired, not when you're tired. And breakthroughs don't happen until you reach your breaking point. Been there many times, man, at that place I didn't want to go on, and I realized that strength can't develop until your strength is gone. You got to keep pushing, because character and courage is developed or lost when you decide to keep going or to give up. You see, that's the point. You got to stop, and you got to realize that's your breakthrough coming right there, because when others that are around you won't, you will be the one that goes ahead. Somebody has to step up and go a little bit farther. Is that somebody you? How many says that's me? I want to go a little farther.
And I have a wonderful guest today, Miriam Daly, who is running for State Senate District 40. And I'm so excited to interview her and for you to get to know her a little bit better, some of her policies that she stands for and things like that. And so, Miriam, we're just going to kind of jump right into it, but I want to get the audience to know you a little better, just personally as a person. So tell us your story. Tell us, who is Miriam Daly?
Okay, I'm happy to. Hi, I'm so happy to be here. I am Miriam Daly, and I am a naturalized citizen here in the United States. I'm of Indian descent, so I'm Indian American with British and Portuguese descent in that. So when the British ruled India, there was a lot of people that came to India, and that is how I have the British and the Portuguese race in me as well. So I've been in the United States, married to my husband for 35 years. Our children, we have 3 children, born and raised here, and they're all adults, have lived their own lives, and just passionate about this country and what it stands for, and just so disappointed with where it's going right now. And
I have such appreciation for people who are naturalized immigrants and things like that, like yourself, that come over and they realize what a gem they have here in a country that, you know, that has afforded them so much opportunity.
That's right.
And I have so much respect for people like yourself who are immigrants that want to stand up for this country and say, you know what, we all should be champions for this country. All of us should be champions, trying to build it up, not tear it down.
That's right.
And so I commend you for that. And thank you so much for being here to tell us your story. Tell me, how did you get involved with politics?
Well, again, you know, I was raised in Dubai, and so a lot of these countries don't have the system of voting your leaders in, and so being part of that system here in the United States and having that freedom to choose and vote, that's why I've always voted. Every time I get a chance to vote.
Every citizen should.
And I just can't imagine that people can just offer it up and say, I don't want to do it, I don't vote. I'm like, say what? There is so much that we have in this country to make a difference for not just our life right now, but for our children's lives, and for the future of this country, and we have a responsibility to that. So I just you know, sit down, and when there's something to vote on and there's an election going on, I sit there with all the map of the United States and try to, and it was so disappointing this last election because we didn't go through the natural process. It was just devastating, actually. It was like, wait a minute, what's happening? So, you know, I'm passionate about the freedom that it offers. I'm passionate about all the opportunity here. There's so many people that come from other countries.
A free and fair country, and we're still a republic.
And a free market society. And a free market economy.
Yeah.
You know, and
it's up to us. It's to do our due diligence.
And the government shouldn't be telling us what to do. We are the people that tell what the government wants to do through our voting process. So that is why I got involved, because I saw where this is going. Another thing is I got involved for this race is because the opponent is for values that just aren't American, taking rights out of parents' hands. That is unacceptable. That is a God-given right, individual freedom, and is extreme.
Parental right,
yeah, it is. And you know, she is just for the schools telling the parents what they should do and take the rights out of it. I'm sorry, which country do you think you're living in? You know. I'd like to know which country she's lived in outside of the United States, because if she has no experience of what socialism looks like, sometimes people need to go travel and see what that looks like.
That's right.
Because if you've been there, seen it, and traveled, you will realize how precious we have it here, how much our freedoms matter here. I think it's so important for people to have a different perspective.
Oh, absolutely.
To know what treasures we have.
And all of my immigrant friends, they all think this way. They all just say, it's so just disheartening to look around at all of these spoiled Americans.
With these mandates. Say what? You know, I mean, we can't just conform to what the government tells us what to do. Yes, we follow the laws of the land. That is not what I'm suggesting that we don't do.
But do not be conformed to this world, yet be transformed by the renewing of your mind.
That's right. I mean, there's so much, you know, governments don't get to tell us you have to go and take a medical procedure or have a medical procedure. You know,
They
this is
think that they do,
Yes.
unless the narrative's turned the other way. I mean, one day they tell you have to go take this and force something on your body
Right.
and on your person, and then the next day, all of a sudden, it's a complete 380,
And
and they're
religious-
like, oh, your body, your right to
That's
say
right.
what you want to do with it.
And what happened to religious freedom?
Right.
And what our faith tells us
That's
to do.
right.
Now, this is the thing. If somebody wants to take the vaccines, by all means, that's what we're fighting for.
Oh my goodness.
Your religious,
Yes.
your freedoms, your individual
You should have
liberties.
the right to do exactly
should
what you
have
feel
that right.
you want to do with your body.
Exactly. And that's the same with schooling for our children. We should have the right to say where our children go to school, whether it's parochial school or whether it's public school or any other private school. It matters. It's that individual right of the parent. So it's defending those things that are fast slipping away and the recognizing what's happening. Being that I've traveled to many parts of the world, and you know, you want to hold on to what your home has to offer and what we have here.
Well, here's where I find like a critical breakdown. Is, you know, because you're saying, you know, because you have gotten to travel, and many of us will never be able to afford that opportunity. But where we should know about these things are in our schools and in our history books, which have been rewritten. So, lots of things, a lot of our history has been removed. And we have got to get something done about what is actually being taught to our children.
Absolutely.
You know, not only getting critical race theory out, not only getting SEL out of the schools and things like that, because we're teaching our children to operate on their feelings. We don't, those core values should be instilled, don't you agree, at home.
At home.
And with the family and the nuclear family. But not in the schools. The schools have the duty and the obligation to teach our children reading, writing, and arithmetic.
Exactly.
And their history of their country.
The true history of the country.
The true history. And so people they're not getting that. They're not getting that in their schools.
And this has been happening sadly for a long period of time, and we are bearing the fruits of that.
That's right.
And we have just been too complacent for
That's
too
right.
long. And you know, I heard you say that people need to get up and stand up and understand what it is we have. It's no more a time to just sit back and let somebody else take care of it.
Goodness, no.
You know, you don't sit
The time
back.
for sitting on the sidelines is over.
That's right.
And
That's right.
depending on somebody else like you, which you are going to do a great job doing, or myself, which I know I will be true to my convictions in doing, or any of the others that I've ever had on this show and more. We know that when we get in there, we're going to do a good job, but it is not our job, just our job, to do that.
That's right.
It is the job of the American people to ensure that one, their parental rights are not stripped away from them, and that we understand that our bodies are sovereign.
That's right.
And it's just time that we as a country that we stand up and we take our rights back. They're telling me to go to break. So sorry, Miriam. We're going to go to a quick break. We're going to come back and we're going to talk some more with her because this is just such a wonderful woman. And I want to make sure that you understand all that she represents so that you will go and vote for her. And so we'll be back in just a minute with more with Miriam Daly.
Oklahomans' rights are being violated. Personal liberties are being removed by force and by passivity. Americans are being bullied, intimidated, and manipulated. Oklahoma needs a strong leader who will stand up to federal overreach. We must stop unconstitutional mandates and elimination of informed consent. As a naturopathic doctor, I've personally treated over 9,000 COVID-19 patients with 0 deaths. That does not include the thousands upon thousands whom I've assisted with their overall health. As your next governor, I will defend Oklahomans' rights. I will not be bought with federal funds, corporate entities, or any other monies that have strings attached. I will not surrender your freedoms, nor will I bow down to petty tyrants, their scare tactics, or their threats. So stand with me and vote Mark Sherwood for governor.
Hello and welcome back to Me, Myself, and Liberty, and I'm still here with my guest, Miriam Daly. And Miriam, I want to talk more about what separates you from your opponent, because I know it's just literally like night and day. And so I want to talk about that. And so what are some things that you want to make sure that the audience knows that are you're principled in, that varies from your opponent?
Yes, life issues are huge for me. Very, very huge for me. Because it's not just about me, it's about God. And He's the creator of all life, all living things. And so what I want to say is I stand for life from conception to natural death. People often forget about the elderly and the handicapped, because so much of society just writes them off. And they're extremely important. God knows when our time is up, and He will take us when He's ready and when we're ready. And sometimes if we're given the grace to live longer, it's because He still has something that we need to do for Him and His greater glory. So I am for life, which, and sadly, my opponent, she believes differently. I'm sure, to me, it's mind-boggling to me. The abortion issue, that's huge. I know Oklahoma has signed, the governor has signed into law now, the heartbeat bill, and people are like, well, what about incest? What about rape? What about all these things? Well, you still have 6 weeks. There's two folds to that, I think, and I think you can look. There's beautiful things out of that, and I'll also say this. First beautiful thing is that it helps people to open up and say, such a person has done harm to me, and has violated my rights and violated my body, and we can apprehend that person and take them out of society if we need to before they hurt someone else. So that's a positive. The other thing is, if in fact you are raped or incest or whatever, you have that 6 weeks to take precautions. The doctor can help you to prevent that pregnancy from happening. If that happens, you have 6 weeks to do that.
Yeah, with the heartbeat bill, you have 6 weeks.
Yes. So I mean, it's not something to say that it's a heartless thing. Now, people, not everybody is going to agree with everything, and this is
that's
just
right.
the life.
And because my opinion even varies from that. I mean, and that's okay. We can have constructive conversations
That's
like this,
right.
because anybody else, and you'll go into any science project or any science room, and they'll teach that a cell is a living thing.
It is.
And so they'll sit there and they'll say, oh, before 6 weeks it's just a cluster of cells.
Yeah.
But it's still a living thing. A cell is a living thing.
It is. And I have friends that had twins, and we were discussing this the other day, and they said their baby's heartbeats were detected at 5 weeks. So
and you never really
so at this point, if we are Americans protecting all Americans, all life, everyone has that right in this country, then that baby that's unborn needs us to speak for it.
That's right.
And none of us would be here had we been eradicated.
That's right.
At pregnancy, we would not be here to witness to this.
Exactly. And Dr. Sherwood is a living example of that. He's running for governor against it, and his mother thought about aborting him and didn't, and thankfully, because he hopefully will be our next governor, and he will make a fine one. But back to the whole rape incest thing. Like you kind of touched on this a little bit. I just wanted to emphasize that there is beauty for ashes.
Yes.
And it does not matter what has happened to you in your life, and what type of seemingly instances, things that you've been handed into your life. You can make beauty out of anything.
That's right.
Anything. And the Word tells us that the Lord knew us before when we were in our mother's womb.
That's right.
And so it didn't say after we detected a heartbeat.
That's right.
It didn't say any of that. It just said He knew us when we were in our mother's womb. And so that is important to me. And so it does not matter if you are a cluster of cells, or if you have a heartbeat, or if you're a full-blown baby about to be born inside the womb. You're a living thing.
That's right.
And
I want to just say to anybody listening to this, if you're going through a period right now, or if you have gone through a period, Jesus loves you. God loves you.
Amen.
There is some place for you to turn to Him. Talk to Him. He is there present right with you now. And if you have, and I'm not trying to preach to you, I'm just saying that there's all of us, all women walk the walk together. We do.
Right.
We all walk it.
Absolutely.
We all don't have a rosy life. We have been through trenches, every one of us. But I want to say that there is hope. And I tell you, don't make that decision to take that life you will regret it for the rest of your life. It will haunt you for the rest of your life, because you've always wondered what that baby looked like. You will always wonder what it is you took away from another life. You will always wonder how God will look at you going forward. And when our time comes to an end here, whether you believe in God or not, I promise you it's better to believe than not, because the other alternative,
It's hopeless. It's
to,
hopeless.
It is.
At least with God you have hope.
Yes.
The other
So-
alternative is hopeless.
That's right. And there's nothing bad happens with God in your life, but the alternative, all kinds of bad happens. So there's a peace and a joy that goes with that. So,
and there
strong.
is a community out there
Yeah.
for you.
That's
if
right.
you are in that position and you're listening to this,
Yeah.
I am going to tell you, I was a teen mother.
Mhm.
Don't you think that I was afraid?
That's right.
There were all these scenarios and things that went through my mind.
That's right.
But I made the critical decision to stick it out and love that baby and take care of that baby.
That's right.
And I don't regret a single moment of it.
That's
I would
right.
do it over again in a heartbeat.
That's right.
It was hard, I'm not gonna lie. But
That's right.
find your community.
That's
Find
right.
somebody who you can confide in, who in fact reach out to us here at OTU Media if you do not have someone, because it's
That's right.
very likely you don't.
That's right.
Maybe you don't. And that's okay. You have us.
Exactly. We're not sitting here like, oh, these wonderful lawmakers or these people that are uppity. We're not. We're just like you.
Because
we are
we're not
every
lawmakers
bit
even
like
yet.
you. But but this is the thing. We are just
We're human
like
beings.
you, and we're not preaching to you. We're talking to you from the bottom of our hearts. We're not sitting here saying, all these people that do this are bad. Oh my word, you are not bad. You're beautiful people with a beautiful purpose, and that baby is a part of who you are. And it's not that we're heartless. We're actually, we would be heartless if we didn't speak to you this way, because
Amen.
you would feel this awful place in life if you go ahead with those actions. And I know there's a lot of people that promote those things, but I have offered to adopt people's babies rather than have an abortion.
Yeah.
And my pastor was
Well,
like,
good for
are you
you.
sure your husband's okay with this? I said, we can't just talk a talk. We have to step out and
we
say,
have to walk it.
I will take that baby, and so this is that's huge to me. The elderly is huge to me, and I tried to take in a lot of elderly myself
we
and
can't
look after
forget
them.
about the
In
elderly.
2020, when everybody's in lockdown, I didn't ever stay in lockdown. I was going, how crazy was that? We had to disinfect everything we took out of the grocery stores and take it to them. We have a moral obligation. We have a moral obligation to God. Every single thing we do here is through Him, for Him, and with Him. Because it's not a what can I attain for myself. It's what we can do for the greater good and the greater glory. And that is what we are about.
That's right. Well, I want to do, we're going to have to take a break. They're telling us we're going to take a break. So when we
Okay.
come back, we're going to tell you about how you can find Miriam, where you can find her, and learn more about her. And all of those things we'll cover in our next segment. And so stay with us. We'll be right back.
Oklahomans' rights are being violated. Personal liberties are being removed by force and by passivity. Americans are being bullied, intimidated, and manipulated. Oklahoma needs a strong leader who will stand up to federal overreach. We must stop unconstitutional mandates and elimination of informed consent. As a naturopathic doctor, I've personally treated over 9,000 COVID-19 patients with 0 deaths. That does not include the thousands upon thousands whom I've assisted with their overall health. As your next governor, I will defend Oklahomans' rights. I will not be bought with federal funds, corporate entities, or any other monies that have strings attached. I will not surrender your freedoms, nor will I bow down to petty tyrants, their scare tactics, or their threats. So stand with me and vote Mark Sherwood for governor.
And I'm certain that these same people that voted for Biden the first time, they would never do that ever again, or anybody like him.
He had a 40-year track record of really not doing very much. It's surprising that so many people did vote for him, you know, even though we know that there may be some controversy around the actual election results. What do you think as far as Donald Trump? I mean, obviously he's given these amazing speeches. We're going to see him at the rally on the ground with the Save America bus tour with Real America's Voice on Saturday in Florence, South Carolina. His speech will probably be a lot like the speech that he gave at CPAC, where he's really alluded to the fact that he's running. Just real quick, with about a minute left, I'd love to get your take on Donald Trump and what's facing him in 2024.
So I love Donald Trump. I actually endorsed him as a state legislator when he ran the first time and caught all kinds of grief over that. I endorsed him in the primary, but he was the right guy for this time, and he's still the right guy. There's no one else out there that I can think of that has the backbone, the intelligence, or the ability to get us back where we need to be. Donald Trump is that guy, and I'm hoping and praying that he says, you know what, I'm running again, because the people need a champion. They are upset. They know what's going on. They want to get behind a champion, and that champion right now is Donald Trump. So I hope he does run. I will support him 100%.
Welcome back to Me, Myself, and Liberty, and I'm still here with my guest, Miriam Daly, and Miriam is running for State Senate District 40. And Miriam, I just want you to tell the voters exactly what is your message. If there was anything that you could leave them with, what is your message to them, and then tell them how they can find you and find more information and maybe connect with you.
Okay, so my passion, again, like I said, is life issues. And the sanctity of life matters to me first and foremost because it's a God given gift. What I want to do is also protect the free market economy that this country is built on. I want to protect individual liberties. I want to protect the rights of parents. I mean, the list goes on. Whatever it is you are wanting in this country, I want that. If it follows the Constitution, if it follows the law of God and the individual freedoms that we have. That is what I want for everybody, and that is
America
why I'm
first, Oklahoma first,
yes,
and the sanctity of life,
and I'm for the borders. I am a naturalized citizen. I want those borders to be protected. I want people to come in the natural and the proper way. Every country I have been to, lived in, has a due process of entry. It has a due process. If you enter as a visitor or you enter as anything, even if a work permit, it expires, you follow the proper line of how to extend it. You have laws of the land. We have laws in our home. We have rules in our home.
That's right.
Everybody has that. We can't be a society that is lawless, that has no boundaries. We have a moral obligation. And it's not just us. God himself gives us parameters to live within. So we need to stay true to who we are. Whether you're Christian, Muslim, Hindu, it doesn't matter. We all have laws in our faith. I'm a uniter, not a divider. And people have names for this one's a RINO, that one's a Patriot, that one's established. I don't do that. I believe that you're having a steak. You're going to have a steak. You could have more salt on it, more pepper on it, more hot sauce, whatever, but it's still a steak at the end of the day. We're all Republicans. Let's come together. I want to unite the party.
And you're saying something that is very important about Republicans coming together, because that is something that the Democrats know how to do very well.
So
and
I'm all about uniting. I'm a good listener. I can listen, and I'm logical, and I'm faith-based values and common sense values.
And principles.
And principles. So, that's what I'm running on. I'm here for the people. I'm here to preserve what this country stands for, what our state stands for, what brought me here and everybody else here. And so to find me, please vote for me. I'm in a primary on June 28th. Please vote for me, Miriam Daly, Senate District 40. And you can find me at dailyforsenate.com and on Facebook.
Okay, that's awesome.
So, Daily for Senate.
Do you have any events coming up, like speaking engagements or anything like that, where they can come and see you and meet you?
Yes, we have tomorrow afternoon.
Okay.
We have, I think it's from 11:30 to 1. We will be at Little Mike's on Northwest Highway, so
Okay.
people do come there and have lunch at Little Mike's. He's gracious enough to have me there. Tomorrow,
And what time?
from 11:30 to 1.
11:31.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes, and we have some others.
Some others. Is it
Some
on
of-
your website, maybe?
It is on the
Or on your
website.
Facebook page. Go
Yes.
look at the website and the Facebook page.
Yes.
And I'm sure she'll be posting updates,
Yes.
on her social media for all of those events. But I highly recommend always going out and meeting and greeting your candidates,
Yes.
getting to know them a little better. Also, look at the incumbents' voting records
Absolutely.
and what they actually stand for. Those
Yeah.
are public record. Please
Yes.
go and check those out, because a lot of times they'll say one thing and do another, or maybe
Yes.
they're just, maybe you never aligned with them to begin with. Maybe
Yes.
that was just a candidate that you never wanted, would have voted for if you knew what they stood for.
That's right. And sadly, we live in a society that is deceptive. So sometimes people say they are one thing, they promote themselves one way, and they are acting a different way. And we have literally stripped society of literally moral value and moral code. The Bible says we're going to be judged for every idle word that comes out of the mouth. And
Amen.
I wonder how many people don't
Take that
pay
to heart.
attention to that.
Mhm.
And deception is wrong. So if you're able to, what you see here is what you get. Meet me
Yeah.
anytime and you will see and hear the same thing, because what you see is what you get. Because I not just answer to you, should I be your senator? I answer first and foremost to God, the Almighty.
Yes.
And
Amen.
I am here working for Him and with Him and through Him. And because none of this would have been possible without Him. So I don't change those values for anybody, because I aspire for my eternal salvation, and that is my goal. So here I'm doing this for the greater good. And so people need to go out and talk to people. You need to meet face to face. Do join me at any one of the events. Please go to my Facebook page, go to the website. It'll all be stated there where I am, or give me a call, send me an email, do whatever. I'll be happy to answer anything.
I love something that you said there, how you were saying that He works through you and in you and all of that, because just coming here this morning, I'm praying when I get into my car, because that's when I have a minute to be by myself.
Yeah.
And it's not like chaos at
Yeah.
home, and then, chaos once I get to where I'm going. So in the car seems to be a quiet moment when I can pray.
Yeah.
And my prayer this morning was, thank you, Lord, that you go before me,
Yeah.
that you're in me,
That's right.
that you're all around me,
That's right.
that you are everywhere encompassing
That's right.
me today, and you're going to be there with everybody that I interview
Mhm.
today and in that room. And so this room I feel is anointed today, and I want to
Amen.
thank you for that. I want to
Thank
thank you, Father, for that.
Amen.
And so I encourage all of you again just to go learn, go meet Miriam face to face, learn a little bit more about her.
That's right.
She's an amazing lady. She'll be a
Thank you.
champion for this state. I highly encourage you to vote for her.
Thank you.
And I appreciate your time so
Yes,
much.
and
Thank
vote
you so
for
much
you.
for being here. Thank you,
Yes.
Miriam. I appreciate
Yes.
that. I
We
really
have
do.
to stick together. We have to come together. This country, this state needs to come together. You can't be complacent anymore. You have to stand up for what you believe in. Stand true to who you are.
We need
And
a new
if you-
culture. We need
we do.
to flip the switch.
I don't know
and
that, I don't know that it's a new
complete
culture.
do-over.
I think we need to regain what we've
Well,
lost.
right, regain
That's
the
what I
culture
think,
that we
because
had
we are
before.
beautiful people. This country is beautiful, what it stands for. Find out. If we keep going through the weeds, we forget where home is. And we have to find where home is, and we need to
Amen.
hold on to that. So that's what I believe, and I believe that it'll all happen. I do believe.
Oh, I believe it.
So,
yes.
with the help of everybody out there, help us achieve
Oh, and
this
let
goal.
me, you saying that, let me just say one more thing.
Yeah.
All campaigns require money, and nobody likes to ask for
That's
it.
right. That's
Okay,
right.
so I'm going to ask you. I'm going to encourage you to prayerfully consider
That's right.
donating to Miriam. Can they do that on your website?
Yes, they can.
Or contact her.
dailyforsenate.com.
dailyforsenate.com.
That's right.
I highly encourage you to get involved with these campaigns. Everyone that you see that comes through
That's right.
this show,
That's right.
they have to have funds to be
They have
able
to
to
have funds.
fight for you.
Yeah.
And so
Because the other side, the opponents, the Democrats, are funded heavily from out of state.
yeah, and they'll take money
And-
from anyone,
And George
and they're
Soros
owned
and all
by
those
all of
other
them.
people that love to give money, and more power to them. But everybody has that right, and they have the right to choose which way of life. God-given right. You can choose the right, or you can choose the wrong. You can do whatever. That is your God-given right. What I'm saying is, please help us, because we choose to fight the good fight.
That's right.
And we choose to fight for you. So please help us do that.
Thank you, Miriam. You're such a champion. And thank all of you for watching the show today. We are going to have to take a break and say goodbye, unfortunately, to Miriam, but go find her and meet her in person. When we leave, please don't forget to go like us on all of our media outlets. You can find us on YouTube, Rumble, BitChute, OTU Media. I'm sorry, Patreon.OTU Media. And stay with us. I'll be back for my closing remarks.
Oklahomans' rights are being violated. Personal liberties are being removed by force and by passivity. Americans are being bullied, intimidated, and manipulated. Oklahoma needs a strong leader who will stand up to federal overreach. We must stop unconstitutional mandates and elimination of informed consent. As a naturopathic doctor, I've personally treated over 9,000 COVID-19 patients with 0 deaths. That does not include the thousands upon thousands whom I've assisted with their overall health. As your next governor, I will defend Oklahomans' rights. I will not be bought with federal funds, corporate entities, or any other monies that have strings attached. I will not surrender your freedoms, nor will I bow down to petty tyrants, their scare tactics, or their threats. So stand with me and vote Mark Sherwood for governor.
Well, there you have it. I promised you that you were going to have 2 very special and amazing champions for this state on the show today, and I hope that you agree with me in that. I hope that you will reach out to them and get to know them, vote for them, and they need money. They need funds. We all do in any campaign, so please prayerfully consider donating to their campaigns. And thank you so much for being here with me. I don't know who we have on the show next week, or I would tell you, but I assure you that it's going to be very good, no matter who it is. And thank you so much again. Please do not forget to like us on all of our outlets, and we will see you next time.